Okay, looks like we're running. Audio level looks okay. And the screen capture appears to be going okay as well. Although I'm noticing a huge spike on the CPU, and it looks like there's a lot going on with the onboard HD graphics GPU and the 1070. So, okay, that's fine, I guess. Everything seems to be running at about a third of capacity. But hopefully we don't have too much trouble. I did figure out that when I'm trying to do 1080p at 60 frames a second, it was not very friendly to the rest of the machine. But I've also heard that using OBS Studio is not the best software either. So there is that. I'm not sure if anyone will be joining me, but I am going to go ahead and start talking through everything and getting to work here on this new project. And so what I'm looking at here is a couple different things. So I'm going to minimize this taskbar. Yeah, get rid of that. Hopefully. Maybe not. There we go. Nope, not going away. Not sure why it doesn't want to go down. Get rid of that. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we're looking at this new project, and the title of it happens to be Kalling Kingdom. I'm hoping that the resolution is okay as well. I'm hoping that the text is nicely visible. I'm hoping it's not too blurry, but I'll take a look at the captured stream afterwards and see how we look. I have my LaCroix orange, which is very important. You gotta stay hydrated while you work. That's just the way it is. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and full screen Unity. So this project is pretty weird so far because, yeah, I'm wanting to do a turn-based sim, and I've got these 3 giant boxes here, and if I were to play this, you can see that it'll initialize some stuff into the scene. There's also some music here. Oh yes, and we need to take a look at the audio levels for the music as well. Hopefully that's not too loud. It sounds pretty loud to me. But it initializes some cash, it gives a few people. And so basically you have, it's very, very simple mechanics. You have these 3 pillars here where you have to decide between examining businesses that exist in your town, the people that exist in your town, and for each turn, there's usually going to be some decision that needs to be made so that you can either do what's best or maybe do what's worst for the people who are in your town, basically. And so a lot of this is not really working yet. You can hear some music playing and there's some cash, but I'm going to stop this. And I need to take a look at the code. So I had set this up in a very rudimentary way just to begin testing it. And scrolling through the code here, I remember there was some hotkey. So I started this a number of weeks ago, and I haven't really looked at it. Like, I'm literally just now opening up what I had started on. I began on a design document, and I need to kind of go back through and finish this out. If you can see what's on the screen, I'm not going to stop you from reading that, but just know that all of this is subject to change. It was a lot of just like background and lore type stuff anyway. A lot of storyline based things. Let me see if anyone has popped into the stream. I apologize that I only have like a single monitor up right now, and unfortunately, that is just simply the way it is. I need to get a second monitor so that I can have this stuff separated, because you don't need to see this dashboard. You don't need to see that at all. Okay, back to Unity. I'm sorry, back to Visual Studio Code. So I was looking at the code, and I thought that I had set up a key binding so that I could advance to the next turn. Let me see what's going on here in the... So we do an initialization. Oh yes, that's right. So I remember one of the things that I was working on. I think I had begun working on like this list of people. Oh gosh, it's all kinds of terrible right now. Yeah. You can barely see that there's like a name of a person followed by the industry that they are supposed to be in, I believe. And so there's a number of industries, and if I go to business, so like these are the only things that are currently kind of just barely getting started here. So there's like a restaurant type, a weapons type, stable, farm, and a hotel. So these are the only kinds of businesses in the game at the moment. And for right now, I'm going to keep it that way. Okay, yeah, test controls. So here's another bit of code where I'm basically just saying if we hit the N key, we can advance through the turns. So to advance through the turns, there's not really any requirement to do anything, I don't think. And so there is a possibility that I think, and I'll probably keep it this way for the time being, is you don't need to make decisions. You don't need to act on anything. If you wanted to, you could just advance through the turns and let the simulation run. So if I hit N, we can see it goes to current turn 2. It goes to some additional cash, and the cash is being brought in from the businesses, which I can't see right now. And so if I wanted to, I could just continue advancing through turns and watch how the simulation changes, at least at these top values. And I guess one of the things to think about is that this is so simplistic in terms of simulation, in that we're only simulating a very small number of parameters. You know, a lot of sim games, they go super big and super complex. And of course, when you're starting with a prototype, you just can't do that out of the gate. You know, you have to start with some super, super simple, basic things just to get something running and working. And I guess another thing to think about too, with these three giant pillars that we have here, I'm getting rid of this, because what I ultimately realized as I was kind of tinkering around with this is that this is turning into, at least it was, this particular version we're looking at, this I mean, it is the latest version, but it was turning into like a menu game where I open up businesses, people, and decisions, and I feel like I'm inside of a crud business app, which is not surprising given that that's how I spend my time all day in the day job. But I got to get rid of that. And so what I've realized is this needs a stronger visual element. Simple as it may be, we need a stronger visual element. So like if you think about like a board game and you think about like Monopoly, in Monopoly, you roll dice and you move down spaces on a board. And Monopoly is extremely popular, right? I use it because everyone knows it. It's a common example. But you throw dice down onto the board, you move spaces, but there is this nice visual representation going on with Monopoly where you advance a certain number of spaces, and you can draw chance and community chests, and there's pictures associated with things. There's art in that game. A lot of people don't really think about that. And if you're going to start off creating a computer game, a lot of people want to go crazy and do something super wild, not realizing that in the beginning, especially in the case of board games and card games, everything was incredibly limited, incredibly simple. And I'm going for the same thing here. I don't want to go too crazy with everything, because I don't want any of this to take too long, but at the same time, I want it to be fun. And there is a little bit of an element of like a dice roll in this. There is a little bit of randomness and things that will go into the simulation, but I don't want to. I just don't want to go too crazy. But anyway, so I was getting back to. I was talking about the visual representation. So what I want to do is I want to replace these three sort of pillars here with sort of a top-down view of a town. And so I'm going to get rid of these because this is, right now, it looks too much like menus and it looks like it's morphing into too much of like a card game. And obviously there's no art here, right? It's just text. But that's all I need right now to get started with coming up with the sort of mechanics, because as I go into looking at the game manager here, let me kind of expand some of this. Is there a way I can get rid of, there we go. So we can kind of see some global variables here. Start with the current turn. There's a maximum number of turns that I've set where the game is over after 60 turns. At least that's the idea. You start with a certain amount of cash. And so in a number of ways, right there in these top three variables, it's just so similar to Monopoly. And I think that's kind of fun. Then you have people. You have a maximum population of 50, which, I mean, why not? The idea is that you're managing a small town. This is not meant to be some grand simulation. It's supposed to be like a fantasy, sort of almost like medieval fantasy setting. A lot of this is actually, in terms of the lore, I've actually been inspired by The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And so the idea is that these are tiny, tiny little towns that you're managing in each simulation. There's the number of businesses that the town owns. There's the number of people that are available. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to pull people from other towns. You're trying to entice them to move into your town, which is this new, tiny little fledgling, struggling thing. And you want to bring them over so that you can you can then build up this city and prosper. So off the bat, I'm basically saying there could be 200 available people. There's a tax rate, and for the purposes of simplicity, at least in the beginning, I'm going to make the tax rate just a flat tax across the board, where no matter what people generate from these businesses, and all income is basically coming from businesses. So the idea is the mechanic is 10% of whatever the business produces. That's how much is coming into the pocketbook of the town. Now, the tax rate is something that I want the player to be able to manipulate, of course, because I want there to be cause and effect to manipulating the tax rate. And part of the fun of this is you're tinkering around with economics. You're working with people. You're having to, in a sense, collaborate with these agents so that you can make things happen, so that you can accomplish your goals. But of course, on the point of goals, there is no singular goal. It's just a simulation. And so you can lead the town into disaster, or you could lead them to prosperity. It's supposed to be a combination of player choice and, of course, player skill, because prosperity is going to be much more difficult than disaster. Okay, so those are kind of the basics. And that's basically what I'm starting with. That's it. So how does the simulation work? So this is called Game Manager. So everything needs to have properties. So a person has a first name, a last name. They have an amount of cash to their name, which I'm not sure how this will fit in. There's happiness levels, and of course the decisions you make and other events in the game would manipulate their happiness. Businesses, talked about this a little bit earlier, but there's only a very limited number of kinds of businesses. And then, of course, there's kind of a default starting type. There's the amount of cash that the business has, and there's a certain amount of income per turn that it generates. Now, all of this is going to get much more complex, obviously. Obviously, you would not have, for every one of these business types, income being generated every turn that's a flat number or a number not manipulated by other events in the game, and so on. And so that's something to think about. But anyway, so what I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start doing something here as far as the code. I just don't know what I want to do yet. Well, here, I know what I'll do is I'll start with getting rid of these UI elements, because I just don't care about these anymore. I've already decided that I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start doing that and make sure that I don't break anything as I do so. So I make sure that everything will still run. So there's an options panel. What's the options panel? What did I do here? Okay. So yeah, you could, I mean, it's basically a menu already. So I can just disable that. I had everything under that. That's good. And then the people panel. I'm probably just going to redo that as well. I mean, this was all just, everything that you see here was just for the purposes of experimentation. I mean, it doesn't, a lot of people are going to be disappointed. I don't know, I hopefully anyone who's watching, don't expect something amazing, because this is purely prototyping material. I'm still very, very early here. Okay, game manager. So obviously all these things can be manipulated. I could change the maximum number of turns, could change the maximum number of people. So I think what I'm going to do is, okay, so I've gotten rid of the menu here. I probably want to begin getting the simulation to run all the way through. I think that's what I would like to do. So I have some logging down here. That's probably really difficult for you to see, and I apologize, because like on 720p I have no idea how nicely readable that is. It might be a little pixelated, a little blurry, and I apologize if that's the case. I'm going to take a look at the recording of the stream when this is all done with, and hopefully find some better way to contend with that. Okay. So everything naturally should be managed by the game manager. So first we create available people. I'll keep that in there for now. Update the UI, yes. Test controls. So one thing that's not even in here yet is I have a maximum number of turns set, but I don't have a way to end the game. So I want to create an event where the game is over. So I think I'm going to do that next turn. Update UI, okay. So for right now, I'm going to basically just do something that's like a placeholder, and I'm basically going to say end of game, and I'm going to say if was it current turn is equal to max turn. Then I'm going to print game over. Because, and the reason I'm doing this as just a placeholder for right now is because as I proceed forward, there's going to be something that happens at the end of the game. The player's probably going to see some kind of a summary. But for right now, this is just a placeholder. And in fact, above this method, above this function, I'm going to say to do add some in-game summary screen for the player and whatever other events need to happen for end of game. including updating variables or storing information about the player history. Because, you know, one feature that would be nice is if, like, as you play games, it kind of collects information about, you know, what your past games were. I'm not sure if I'll do that. That's kind of low on the priority list. But either way, end of game summary, you definitely have to have that. So I'm going to come back to that. So that has to happen on next turn. So current turn, blah, blah, blah. What I actually need to do is I actually need to say if the current turn is greater than the maximum turn, because what I would like to do is see if the end of game is going to happen as the turn advances. So if you're on turn 59 and you get to 60, that's technically your last turn. And so if you were on 60, you would want to say, if I go to 61, which would happen here, then if I'm on turn 61, it's actually the end of the game. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this return a bool, because if it is the end of the game, then we want to skip anything else that may need to happen for a turn, because something else is going to happen. Bool, end of game. Yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is got to add brackets here. Let's say game over. And this would return true. Otherwise, we're going to return false because the game is not over. And then I'll say bool end of game equals end of game. Method name expected. What? What is it talking about? Method name expected. Is that having some issue with? I don't know what that's about. So if end of game, then return, because nothing else needs to happen at that point. I'm also going to move this to its own method for each business and owned businesses, because this is advancing. You can basically see the formula in here. This is taking the business income per turn and grabbing taxes from it. So it's being multiplied by 1%. That's interesting. Income per turn times 0.01. So if I have, I'm just going to see. So if I have income per turn, I forget what I was thinking here. If I have 500 for the turn and I multiply that by 0.01, that goes to 5. And then, oh, I see. And then if the tax rate is, what did I say, 10%? 10. Okay, so it's like a percentage. Then, yeah, 50. And then, of course, 50 is 10% of 500. So, okay, that makes sense. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to move this to its own function. So what would I call this? This is advance income from businesses. Owned businesses, which I think is global. Yep. Advance income from businesses. I'm going to take this, move it into here. There we go. Advance income from businesses, very nice. So everything's now nicely high level. We make a call to update UI, we advance the income from businesses. What else might need to happen? Lots of other stuff. What is this complaining about? Use of unassigned local variable. Bool end of game. How is it unassigned? Does it have a problem with me naming the function the same as the variable or something? I have no idea what's going on there. Method name expected. Am I going crazy? Am I doing something wrong with the syntax here? What if I change this? This is probably something really dumb. Let me say end game instead of end of game. End of game. Oh, that's so dumb. Okay, so I guess that's what it was, is it didn't want me to name the variable the same thing as the method, but that's what the parentheses are for. C#. The result of the expression is always true, since a value of type int is never equal. What is this about? Oh, if current turn is not equal null. Okay. Well, what do I initialize it as? Initialize it as 1. That's fine. Here, I'll just take this out. I don't need that. There we go. By the way, I'm using Visual Studio Code, and I just adopted this new color scheme, which, I mean, for me it's new. A lot of people know it quite well, but this is the Atom 1 dark theme, and I love this color scheme. So like normally when you use Visual Studio Code, the color scheme looks like this, and I actually really love the default dark color theme for Visual Studio Code. I think it looks awesome, but I found this one, and I'm assuming this might be for the Atom text editor. I haven't used the Atom text editor very much. Like, I think I last kind of glanced at it maybe over a year ago now. But I love these colors. I love the gray and everything. Unreachable code detected. Oh no. Yield return null. So what happens if I take this out? Will it complain? Nope, it doesn't. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So by the way, I haven't shown you this yet. This is the sound manager. And it's super simple right now. All it's doing is making a call to a coroutine called manage music. And so it basically will go through some clips that I throw into the Unity inspector, and it just plays them. And it's like a playlist. So it just like goes to each of the tracks and it loops. Obviously, we're going to do more with music later, but I'll come back to that later. Okay. Check on the stream. No one is joining in. That's sad. That's okay. Okay, let me go back here. I can close this. You don't need to see my files. They're not that great. They're not that important. Okay. Okay, so let's test out this game over thing. So I'm going to see if I can get the build successful. There we go. Nice music. Okay, and down here on the console, I need to say clear on play and clear these out. So I should be able to just hit in a bunch and advance. Why is that? For some reason this is printing 3 times. That bothers me. I gotta figure out why it's doing that. Okay, but I'm gonna go up to turn 60 because I should get to that point, and when I do, it should tell me game over. $60 and $61, game over. There we go. And that's cool because now not only does it say game over, but you notice the turns are not advancing. So it still says current turn 60. And if I try to advance the next turn, it just continues saying game over. Now, of course, it's not going to do that later because we're not going to be able to hit next turn. There's going to be some other route that it takes. You get the idea. Okay, so that's good. I got that out of the way. So now what else can I do? So I'm able to advance the turn. So the simulation can run all the way through now, basically. I'm going to add some other little hotkeys here that will give us the ability to do something like add a business. I'm going to say input get key up key code dot b. B for business, right? And for this, I'm going to public void. I'm going to say test add a business. I'm going to add another little to do in here to say remove test controls, parentheses to replace with a UI. And I wish I had some of you on stream interacting with me in chat, because it would be really good if you could tell me if you can read this text. You know, I'd like to kind of do one of these streams once a week, and it would be nice just to have that feedback to know that you can easily read what's on the screen. But either way, I'm going to look at the video afterwards. Remove test controls to replace with the UI. Yes, we need to do that, and all methods, or I'll say all functions that start with test are used for randomized simulation testing. Although there's nothing random about advancing a turn, is there? But that's fine. Public void test add a business. What is this complete? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. So this is going to be a call to test add a business, and we should have some available businesses. We don't yet, do we? Because I was working on people. Okay, well, I'm going to add it. Public list business available businesses. Oh, but I remember why I wasn't working on that yet. So actually, instead of business, I'm going to do people, because businesses come with people. So if you can't just add a business in this game, you have to say add a person. Add a person. Yes, test add a person. Because when you add people, you get their businesses. Or if you add a business, you get their people, right? Ooh, there's actually some interesting things I could do with those possibilities, isn't there? But for right now, I'll keep it simple. I'll say for right now, we always just add people. There's no such thing as like adding a business yet. So to look at businesses is one thing. You could kind of just look at what's available out there, and then you can go after their people to hopefully get the business. Something like that. That's an idea I really need to flesh out. Either way, I'm going to change this to P for people. The P key, test add a person. Okay, so to keep this super simple, what I'm going to do off the top, I'm going to grab whoever is available at the bottom. Actually, I'm going to say int person to pluck, because we're going to basically pluck a person out of a list, and I'm going to say this is available people dot count. Would it be count, or would it be something else? Maybe count minus 1, if I'm thinking about this right. Count minus 1. Yeah, I'll do that. And I'm going to say, what is it, people? People and available people. What's people? Did I define that as like the, yep, okay. So people is our people, right? People is our people. It's the player's people. People dot add, yep. I'm going to say available people, and I'm going to get the person to pluck. There we go. And of course, we also have to remove the person item from available people, because it can't be in both places. They can't be available and be a part of your town. That doesn't make sense. Available people, person pluck, So you got to remove them. You got to add them first and then remove them. Okay, test, add a person. Okay. But I guess when you add a person, they're not going to be a part of the town right away. They would be a part of the town in the next turn, perhaps? I'm not sure how I want to do that. Yeah, I feel like it makes more sense for them to get added in the next turn. Well, for testing purposes, I can leave it like this for now, because I really just want to see the effect on the simulation. But the thing is I don't think that this... I don't think that this affects anything just yet. So I'm gonna add a call to update UI. I'm probably gonna want to take this out later, but I'm gonna add that just for now. To see. Okay, so let me play this. So I can advance a turn, add a person. Advance the turn. Yeah, and the income doesn't change because the number of businesses are still the same. So but you can see the people going up. Oh snap, it just crashed. Argument out of range exception. Yep, I was worried about that. Argument out of range. So we need to make sure. Let me see what I'm doing here. My brain should probably be able to process this, but as I'm talking through this, it's just not. It's not as it should be, I have to say. Okay. Am I set up for debugging? Yes, I am. This is another good thing that I could have for, you know, like the chat too, right? Is that you guys could be telling me, dude, like you don't know how to count, and and you should know how to count. So I'm gonna add a person, and there we go. So what's going on here? So the count is 17, so 16. So if I go after 16, then I'm going after the last one. Oh, okay, yeah, I see. So let me stop. That's fine. So I need to say if available people dot count is greater than 0. Only then can we do all of this stuff, because otherwise we're just gonna return if that's the case. So this has been a really good test, by the way. I'm pretty happy with it. You know what? It occurs to me that I did not send out a notification on Twitter. That's pretty important, isn't it? Let me see if... Am I still logged in? No, I'm not. Oh, that's no good. Let me get logged in so I can tell people, hey, come watch the stream. Because otherwise you can't expect much, can you? Okay, so... Let's see if I can get someone in here. Yeah, because it would save me a lot of time if I could get some live feedback from everyone. Twitter. Okay, so normally I don't do this. Normally I have my password ready to go, but just bear with me. This is going to take a second. Or if you're watching this afterward, you could just scrub through, couldn't you? Okay. Streaming game dev now. Come and take a look. This is the premiere test broadcast. Smiley. No, I'm not going to do a smiley face. Okay, I'll say tweet. This is the disadvantage of having only one monitor, isn't it? Is that you guys, you're just going to see everything. You're just going to see me. You're going to see everything. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Let me go to Discord, too. My lovely Discord community. Streaming now, folks. It's happening. There's no one online. That's my problem. You know what? This is Sunday. It's Sunday morning. Everyone's gone to church. I don't know. I don't know how religious. I don't know how religious the people on the interwebs are. But I know some of them are. Some of them are probably at church. Some of them are probably, they just don't care. They say, why would I watch Scott ramble about his code? Okay. Where was I? Yeah, so we want to make sure that the people count does not crash. That's what I'm really concerned with. Bop, 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 bop. People 20. People 20. Doesn't let me go past 20 people? Did I only make 20 people available? I probably did, didn't I? Number of event now. Yep, I cut it way down in the editor. That's why. Okay. But that's fine. I'm happy with that. Because now what I can do is I can have that affect some stuff. Look at everything go. Okay. Yeah, I can have that affect some stuff. So let me go into the person. So the person is associated with the business. I don't know if I want to do it like this, where it's like this traditional sort of C# data model thing, where we go to the business object in memory. Not sure if I'm happy with that, but you could have a lot of people to a business. So here's an important question. If there's 20 available people, are they all initialized with the same business? That's important. How do I know? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so create available people. That would be it. So we're creating a new business for every single person right now. Well, okay. I mean, I guess, you know. It's fine for testing purposes. This is all we're doing today. All we're doing is testing. We're just tinkering around today. That's all I care about. So, everyone can begin with a business, and I'm cool with that. But if we're going to do that, then I want the business to have some kind of a name or something, right? I want it to have some kind. For right now, I'm going to do like an ID, like almost like a database. So I'm going to say like business ID is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to initialize it at 0. Is that how I want to do it? No, I don't. Actually, it doesn't matter because it's not like I'm going to be like querying the business. This isn't a business app. You know, what do I care? That's fine. We can just create a new object. I don't care about that. But what I do want to do, I want to do some kind of like a randomization type thing. I gotta look up what like the random class is on Unity. So I'm gonna say like Unity C# random. because I don't remember. Random.range. Random.range. Unity engine.random. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess. It didn't show that to me, but okay. Dot random. It's a lie. It's a lie. You know what I can do? I bet I know what I can do. I bet I can just go down here and do this. So I'm going to say, for the business, I'm going to say income per turn. I'm going to default it to 5, but we're going to randomize it, I think. But its value is never used. Yes, I know. Okay, so business, income per turn, and I'm going to say random. There it is, random. Is this a method? What is this? Random dot range. I'm assuming I can do that, right? Random dot range. Oh, I don't care about that. Hang on, let me get a random. Random. Is this used for vector 3s? No, it's not. Oh, I see. This was just used at the example as a vector 3. Okay. Negative 10 and 10. Yeah. So this is the reality of programming, everyone, by the way. If you're watching and you don't normally program, well, there's no programmer who just automatically knows the function that is present inside of a library, or in this case, Unity's engine. The reality is you gotta look stuff up all the time. I actually want this to be an integer though, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit with the number, I think. So I'm gonna say this is a float. I'm gonna call it randomized income, and I'm gonna say random.range, and I'm gonna go between I'm gonna go between 3 and 10, I think. Unity engine.random. Well, I want Unity engine.random. I don't want it to be an ambiguous reference. And I want to get the integer value of that. Integer, I'm going to say randomized income as integer. And what do I need to do? Oh, I think I need to do like I did over here. Or no, not over there. Where did I do it? Game manager somewhere? Yep. System.convert to int32. I can do that. System.convert to int32. And I want this to be the randomized income. There we go. I think. Randomized income as integer. And then the business income per turn will be the randomized income as integer. So now the businesses generate randomized income. So wait a second. This is interesting. And I can get rid of this. I don't need this. So this is interesting because let me comment this out for right now, and I'm going to come back to this. Because what I actually should see is if I have 20 people out of the gate, then my income should go way up. It should be 20 times 5. It should be 100. Let me add a bunch of people. No, that doesn't happen. That's very weird. Why doesn't that happen? New business. Oh, I bet I know. Do I know? Might have something to do with like a constructor, like it's not initialized or something like that. So like these values maybe don't even matter. Because I'm sure that what I do somewhere is I like, yeah. Oh yeah, like that cash, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm assigning stuff whenever I, no, I'm not. What am I saying? Business? Where's businesses? Business. Create available people. So all of this is actually initialized out of the gate. People. It's all initialized out of the gate. If number of people, blah, blah, blah. Create available people. People to grab. I see. So the available people are created, and then we grab 3 of them out of the... Okay. Yeah, that's what's going on. Number of available people. Owned businesses, add business. Oh gosh. This is not organized the way that I thought it was in my brain. Well, what time is it? It's 11:20. I'm going to go ahead and stream for about another 10 minutes. And then I'm going to break for lunch. But this should be fine. So you know what would be nice? It'd be nice if I had a kind of a function for creating a randomized business, I think. So I'm going to do that. Public. I'm going to have it return a business. Business. Test. Create randomized business. Mr. Business. Everything is awesome. Business. New business. So I'm gonna basically grab everything out of here. I'm gonna uncomment this. Copy. And paste. Return the business. And come down here. And we're gonna take all this out, and we're gonna say test create randomized business. I might regret that, because who knows how long I'll use this create available people function. But again, we're just tinkering around, so I don't really care right now. Business, new person. Okay, so business. So now it is creating randomized stuff. So when I do test add person, what I need to do is I need to carry over the business. So really, I need a function that carries over the person and the business at the same time. I need all that to happen at once. Every time a person is added, the business has to come over with them. That's the general idea here. So I don't just need to create... When this says create available people, that's not actually what this is doing. This is initializing the people at the beginning of the turn. That's really what that's doing. And so... I'm going to rename this right now, and I'm going to say this is initialize city people, because this is not creating some kind of a pool of people. It's just initializing. So I'm going to say public. We're going to do void, and I'm going to say this is going to be called add person, and I'm going to say add person to city. Yeah. Because when you add a person to the city, the business needs to come over with them. So a lot of what's happening inside of here, it needs to also happen with... So how does available people work right now? It looks like all I did earlier is I just... Oh yeah, so this is initialize city people. So it looks like all I did earlier was I just decided, you know, there's going to be available people, But we're really using just the number of available people, because this isn't used anywhere, is it? Available people is greater than available people, blah, blah, blah. Number of available people. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, so it does create the available people. It grabs 3 off of the list, and then it leaves everything else for you to acquire later. Okay, I can live with that, but I still think I can do this with this add person city method, because owned businesses, new person. So the new person does come with a business. Why doesn't the income go up? That's so weird. Oh, I know why. Yeah. So it was like I said, it's because when we add a person, we're not adding the business, and your income comes from the owned businesses. Available people. So this is perfect, actually, because I can actually create the real function now. Basically, I can go in here and I can take this. I'm going to take this whole thing. I can take this whole thing and add it into here. And if you're confused by this, you'll see why I'm doing this in a moment. But we can basically say the available people, okay? We got to add the business too. We got to say, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say person to pluck, yep. Person, I'm going to call this index person to pluck is actually that person object, available people. Person to pluck index, yep. So we're going to grab the person, but we also need to grab their business. So the business, I'm going to say business to add. And this is going to be the person to pluck dot business. And then we are going to say business, owned businesses add. And this will be the business to add. Business to add. And then we need to remove it from both. So this is going to be person to pluck index, and this is going to be available, no? Business, what do we have? Businesses, owned businesses. We don't have a list of businesses out there, do we? It's just owned businesses, and the businesses come with the people. Aha! That makes sense. That makes sense. So we don't need to remove it from any list. Comes with the person. That's fine. Owned businesses dot add, blah, 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 blah. Very good. Add person city. That works. And now, when we're talking about the test call, we're gonna take this out. Add person city. I'm gonna take this out later, right? But this is just really just to bind to the key value, I guess. Yeah, I guess we don't need it. We don't need it. I'm going to take it out. So effectively, I renamed the method, right, is really what happened. Add person to city. But now I have this clear thing called add person to city, and I can reuse this, and this is gonna be what I use to manipulate the population going forward. Although, that being said, oh man, it's starting to rain outside. That being said, though, I know that this needs to be changed to person to pluck. Add person to pluck. That being said, person to pluck, I'm still going to have to do that thing where I move this into creating a person the next turn. Gosh, I bet if you're watching this right now, like none of it makes any sense. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Okay. Business to add, person to pluck. Add person to city. Okay, but that's fine. So let me see how this manipulates the income. Should manipulate it just fine. So I'll add some people, say next turn. 2009. Let me add 20. It should go, with 20 people, the income should kind of go, yeah, that's going up like a lot more. So that's good. Okay, so now I have the full simulation running, it looks like. I got all this cash coming in from all these people. It's not much of a game yet, is it? It's just a lot of numbers, which is fine. Because as the player, you're gonna love seeing that cash number going up. You're gonna love the challenge of grabbing the people, and so this is a pretty good stopping point for right now. But and then I'm gonna stop the stream. I'm gonna go to lunch, and this is perfect because I'm gonna be able to come back next week and do a new stream. And it looks like everything is working pretty well for what I'm doing here. So the only things I need to check is how readable are things on the screen and all that sort of thing. But anyway, so with the cash, with the mechanics here, you know, you can imagine that the next thing that I need to do is I need to go into the mechanic of acquiring the people. What is that going to mean? What's the challenge of how we get the people? And what are the things that are going to affect the amount of cash? Because there's definitely got to be expenses. And of course, I have to put in that visual representation of the town. But we can see that there is a simulation going on now where we have this idea of people who have been created. We have cash coming in from businesses. We have a number of turns. We have a max number of turns where the game ends at 60 turns. It's not much of a game yet. It's mostly just numbers and multiplication. But what is a simulation game other than numbers and multiplication, really, in a lot of ways? I mean, obviously I got to add the visual representation. I got to create the challenge. I got to create the real game feel. It's not there yet. But I've made really good progress, and so this is my first time coming back onto the project in like a while. I'm not going to stream every single time I work on this, but I do want to do a lot of streams because I find that, you know, this is going to help just get the kind of just get this out there. Get you know, I want to get Elega out there. I want people to see some of the exciting things that I do outside of these Pluralsight courses, because this is so fun. And, you know, a lot of the stuff, I've done other prototypes. I've worked on these other projects. Everyone knows about Age of Nomads, who, I mean, if you're watching this, or you're watching the YouTube videos, or you're following the Twitter at Elega Corp, then you've seen Age of Nomads probably. Well, I don't know. It was a while ago. There hasn't been an update in a long time. But Age of Nomads, you know, I got really far with it, and people didn't really get to see a lot of it. They didn't see screenshots. Well, they saw maybe 1 or 2 screenshots of the prototyped version. They didn't see a lot, though. And so I want people to see some of the things that are going on, because I may get into this, and I may decide this is not something I want to go forward with. We're going to see how much fun it is to play. We're going to see just how exciting it is. And if it's super engaging, then I'm going to take this to market, and you're going to get to see me basically do that, and you're going to get to see how it's done. You get to see the actual code. Now, I ask that you please not steal the code, because I do want this to be Elega's code, but I'm also open to sharing it with you from the standpoint of so that you can learn and you can see how things are done. Because when I first started on Unity, things were challenging, man. Things were super difficult for me to understand. And I thought that because I had this understanding of C# and I had worked with like these database applications and stuff like that, that it was going to be fairly simple to pick up. I knew the syntax. I had written that syntax before. But the fact of the matter is that when you get into game development, even if you're already a programmer, it's not easy. And there's a ton of new stuff to learn, a ton of things that applies to games that does not apply to all these other areas of development. You know, games, when you're talking about 2D and 3D space, when you're talking about all these different things, a lot of what you saw me do today is not centric to game development. You know, when we're talking about adding and removing things from lists and initializing these different types and memories, you see this kind of stuff happen with business applications all the time. And this is something that I do really, really well. And so part of the reason that I want to take advantage of this kind of style is because I do it so well. And I know that I'm going to be able to snap together something really fast that hopefully it's going to be fun at the end of it, that works pretty well using this kind of stuff, right? So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you find some of this interesting, and hopefully you can kind of see where I'm going. But I'm going to go ahead and call the stream there. Thank you so much for watching this, if you watched this. I know that it was kind of long. I know I was still getting things together. I know that there was rambling going on here and there, but I'm so pumped for the future. I'm definitely going to get something onto the schedule for next week if I can. Follow elegacorp.com for the stream schedule, because that's where I'm going to start keeping things. There's going to be a number of other website updates that I'm working on today. And coming to the website, I will have the stream schedule up on the website for you to see. And of course, the Elega Corp Twitter, at Elega Corp is the Twitter handle. Should be simple enough. And of course, down below on the stream, there should be a little info panel for you there to find the Twitter. That's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you soon. I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream. And I need to get a separate monitor. Okay. Thank you.